Okay, I've got a question. What do a shared office space, a potted succulent, and a passion for quilting have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in 2025's Return to Office, brand new from the Hallmark channel, and we've got a lot to talk about, Josh.
We do, Jennifer. We'll unwrap it all on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
So we all remember during COVID back in 2020, 5 years ago almost now, Jennifer, how all of a sudden we found
That's crazy,
ourselves
yeah.
working from home and having to do everything on Zoom. And I guess, that's sort of how we got this podcast off the ground is on Zoom. So we are here for Zoom and we are here for virtual meetings. Do you ever want to go back to that kind of a lifestyle? Did you enjoy remote work, Jennifer?
No, I mean, I liked parts of it. I liked being in my jammies while working, but I am typically more productive if I'm going in the office, which we are now. I mean, I can be flexible. So last week it snowed in Nashville and I could have gone in probably, but like why risk it if you can just do the same thing and be productive at home?
I actually liked working from home. I will tell you that I do much better when I'm in the office a couple days a week and then have a few days of flexibility. I like the balance that we've sort of found ourselves in. Everything sort of changed as a result of what we saw during the pandemic. And here we go. We're actually getting a Hallmark movie that's all about remote work ending and folks coming back to the office. So here we go. Let's see what we think about it. Jennifer, why don't you give us the plot summary?
So, plot summary is after making the return to the office on a hybrid schedule, two coworkers known to each other only as Ms. Monday and Mr. Tuesday start sending friendly notes, sparking an office romance. Let's go.
So it's 7 a.m. in Seattle, and our female lead, Janel Parrish, we love Janelle Parrish, right? Let's just get that out of the way. She
Yes,
gets her
absolutely.
Bobo Alexa. I forget what she called it, but even Molly, my 8-year-old, was like, "What? That's not Alexa." Anyway, she gets it to play classical music as she makes her perfectly perfect balanced breakfast. We get from Go that she is particular as she gets set for a not Zoom business meeting. Now, she gets a call from her gal pal about their upcoming happy hour that they're going to go to, but the chat quickly pivots to business things. There's a lot of business talk straight out of the gate with this one. So we cut to Tom, our male lead, played by Scott Michael Foster, and he is late for the meeting, of course, because he is a creative type. So we're setting up that she's a little rigid, he's a little bit not rigid. What's that old song? A little bit country, a little bit rock and roll.
A little bit rock and roll, yeah. I love an Osmond reference.
Yeah.
Osmond family, but yeah, definitely type A and type B. What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? There's business chatter that, to be honest to me, is honestly a little kind of confusing, and I have an MBA. Well, it's just
Right. It's like, is her company acquiring his company? And it was lots of like
yes.
tech, artist, apps,
Tech.
tech art.
Beep, bop,
Are they graphic
boom.
designers? I feel like they're like, it's some kind of way to promote your art or your graphic designs worldwide or
Mhm.
something, maybe?
But later there's
Very vague, very unclear.
later there's reference to this company being the leading social media company in the world. So it's anyway, very unclear. Business things happening. I gather there's a merger of sorts and that the CEO wants everyone back to the office because there's limited desk space. However, at this company, there's going to be a Monday, Wednesday crew and a Tuesday, Thursday crew, and everyone gets to work at home on Friday, which sounds like a pretty great deal to me.
I wouldn't hate it. Yeah, I think that's makes a lot of sense. Now, I feel like Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday would probably be better in my mind because then you're like grouping it together and you don't have to move your stuff back and forth every day. But what do I know?
That wouldn't fit for the premise of this movie, Jennifer.
Well,
Jeez.
I know we wouldn't have a movie.
Exactly.
And okay, was the CEO? Is this the
Yes.
same guy
Yes.
that has been in like four other Hallmark
Yes.
movies just that we've covered and we don't even cover them all? He was the dad or the new boyfriend in Three Wise Women and a Boy. Three Wise Women and a Boy.
Mhm.
What else was he in? He was in, like 2 or 3 other movies at Christmas, and I love it. He looks like Peter Gallagher, and he does a great job, but I'm like, what kind of deal did this man strike with Hallmark?
Multi-picture B character deal. I'm really
I
impressed.
love it.
His agent is working overtime over at Hallmark. Anyway,
Mhm.
there's a rush on desks on the Monday morning that all of this starts, but traffic has Liv late to the office and she gets stuck by the kitchen where someone is always making a smoothie because Seattle, I suppose. It's a
I guess,
it's
but
a bit.
the being by the kitchen would be unfortunate. You get various smells and
Yeah.
activity, and I am a little more like Liv that if I'm really trying to focus on something, I have earbuds in, like, I have a door to my office, I can shut my door and, like, kind of focus, hocus
Leave me
pocus
alone.
focus. So,
Yes.
being in the cubicle right in the middle of the party time would be super detrimental to my workflow,
Yeah.
I gotta say.
Seriously. So anyway, Liv leaves, easy for me to say, a succulent on the desk that she's soon to share with someone else, along with a nice note for her soon to be desk mate. Now, Tom shows up on Tuesday, and he doesn't seem to have a vision for the future for the CEO about his company as it integrates into this new company. So that's apparently going to be a problem here. He perches at Liv's desk, installs his own desk decor to include a rubber duck, and leaves quite a mess that messes with Liv when she's back on Wednesday. So he's creative and he's sloppy and he's not about the details and he's crazy. Now, Jennifer, I don't know. If you were just hypothetical here to be a creative, right? And to have a career that was,
Mhm.
I don't know, hitching your wagon to creativity quite regularly, do you feel like this characterization of the creative type is a fair one?
So the creative field that I may or may not be a part of, I use both sides of my brain, A and B. I'm creative, but I also like structure and organization. Whereas I feel like the Toms of the world lean more on the B side. So they are more like when I went to an art college and there were fine artists, there were graphic designers, photographers, and typically, not to put people in a box, but what I saw when I interacted with the students of the other departments were they were more of a Tom, like kind of scattered, just really immersive and throwing paper on the floor. You just gotta throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks, and it's a little more willy-nilly than hypothetically I may or may not be.
Understood.
But Josh, if you had a hybrid desk and you had one item to make it feel personal to you, what would it be?
That's a great question.
I
I would
know.
probably say, I honestly would probably have a family picture, honestly.
I was
I
gonna
feel like that's the one kind of you could get away with pretty easily.
Yeah, and it's easy to take down. I mean, the rubber ducky thing was weird. Succulents, I mean, I could maybe do a fake plant. I kill real plants. It's not by choice, it just happens. So, I would probably either have, like, on my podcast desk, I have a candle, and I've literally never lit it, but I just like taking a whiff because it smells like Christmas. So, I just take a whiff sometimes before we pod at Christmas ups. So, I could do maybe, like, a candle to get a whiff, especially if I'm by the kitchen, and I gotta kinda get some good juju going.
Yeah.
That or more likely a family photo, agreed.
Yeah.
But
There you go.
rubber ducky for Tom.
Rubber ducky for Tom. And we get this back and forth between the two of them that ends with him leaving a ham sandwich on Thursday that rots between Thursday and Monday when she's back at the desk. And it's a kerfuffle. So much so that Tom winds up apologizing with a pastry, and Liv immediately has a 180-degree turn in her attitude toward Tom. She goes from being really irritated to all of a sudden she's super interested. Like, it was a whiplashy kind of moment here. Definitely a light switch went off here. And it's
I kinda
then
hoped they would kinda chitter-chatter back and forth a little bit longer before they made the switch.
yes, I kind
Because
of
I was watching, I was like, "Oh, how far are we into this movie?" Not that far.
no.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I wish that had carried out a little bit longer.
Same here, but it gets decidedly flirty and very chatty, all of it via Post-it notes, of course, and there are costume changes after costume changes. I kept thinking, like, the wardrobe must have been these characters had on outfits for maybe 13 seconds at best. and then they had to go change and do it all over again. They were working hard for the money on this one.
Well, that and their Post-it budget must have been through the roof on this one.
I
Goodness
know.
gracious.
Seriously.
In this economy?
Jeez. Jeez. Tom and Liv finally do meet at an all hands on deck employee meeting. Now, Liv pitches a vision for Tom's company, and the CEO really likes it. So now we're going to have some big time conflict here between Tom and Liv, because Liv is kind of elbowing in on Tom's claim to his company that's now becoming part of the whole tech. Again, lots of businessing happening here in this one.
Tech.
Tech. So they meet over coffee. Of course, it's Seattle, and they unpack things, and Liv agrees to let Tom take the lead on the big logo redesign as part of the rebrand, which, to be honest, feels like a very sort of in the weeds kind of plot point to me. Were you buying it, Jennifer?
No, it was purely a device to get them together more, right? Working on a project. We've seen this bit a lot. But, and instead of the Christmas movies where they have a deadline by Christmas Eve to pitch some campaign, this is just a new logo for the rebrand. It seems like a no-brainer. Of course, he should be the one doing it. If he was high up or the leader or the owner or whatever he was of the old company, of course he would do the new design. That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. So all of a sudden we cut to Tom, who is now sketching his mom for reasons unknown, who apparently lives in assisted living. So it's just sort of like, oh, we're getting more about Tom. His mom lives in assisted living, and he draws her in his spare time. The sketch, when he shows it to her, to me looks way too photoshopped. It looks like someone took a picture of them and then like threw it on a Xerox and made it look like somebody drew it. It was a little
I
too.
wonder if I can put on socials like our photo as if that drew it. Charcoal.
Anyway, Tom tells her about Ms. Monday. So Tom lets it slip that he's kind of got this budding romance at work. She tells him to take a leap, which he does by getting her some noise-canceling headphones. So sort of a little sweet gesture here. Tom and Liv,
She should have already had.
which she should have already
That's
had.
day one stuff, Liv.
Exactly. Tom and Liv do meet up, she thinks, to talk about the logo. He wants to know why behind the rebrand. So she has brought the receipts in the form of some extensive surveys about Tom's company logo. It's just like, wow, we're really stretching for this business, tech subplot here.
Because it needs to reach worldwide and it did not test well
The
worldwide
logo,
and they need to be like Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide.
exactly. The logo tested horribly overseas, which is apparently a thing. Anyway, Liv, turns out she's got a heart of gold, and she is a volunteer, of course, at the same assisted living facility where Tom's mom lives. And what do you know? She teaches quilting, which Tom's mom decides to try. So now Tom's mom knows Liv, but she doesn't yet know that Liv is Ms. Monday. So stay tuned. We need some levity here in this thing. So we get a corporate field day. And of course, Tom and Liv are randomly paired together for some quote unquote team building. Now, the thing I really appreciate about this scene is it absolutely felt like the cringy team building we've all had to do at work at one point or another, right?
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
No.
Think icebreakers, but even less fun.
Yeah. And I've honestly been in my professional career in smaller offices, so thankfully we just go to lunch or something. Just seem to be
Right.
and to do trust falls and stuff. But I mean, even in church small groups, the icebreakers, it's risky because some people don't want to talk. Some people talk way too much and tell you all about their lives, and you're like,
Yeah.
goodness, it's time to go now. So yeah, that any of that stuff it's hard for me to get excited about. So
Well, they get excited. They get more than excited. They get competitive. They are determined here to win. So they win a corporate trivia competition along with a keepy uppy kind of tango balloon competition where they've got to smash this balloon between their faces and work their way through a cone laden obstacle course. It was very
that seems like an HR nightmare waiting to happen.
Exactly.
Get your I'm sorry, you have to pair up with some rando in the company that you probably have never met and put your face the only thing separating your face is helium?
Is a balloon?
Mm,
No, I don't
don't
like
like it.
don't
Don't like
like it.
it.
They win gift baskets with some romantic-ish gifts, and Tom takes the chance to inquire about her relationship status. She lets on that she has her eye on somebody, obviously Mr. Tuesday, so that doesn't immediately go anywhere. So they sort of are saying, "Oh, I'm interested in somebody," but they don't yet realize that it's the other person that they're interested in. So
Mhm.
Liv is back at the assisted living facility teaching quilting, and whoops, all of a sudden she puts two and two together. So she's figured it out. Armed with that knowledge, Liv shows up to work for their new logo pitch, and she finds Tom at their desk, and she presses him on what's happening with Ms. Monday. Liv likes Tom's logo idea, but their boss, absolutely hates it, and so do I. It was a not a great logo.
It was like a globe with, like, a brushstroke arrow at the top because there's art all over the world. And
Yeah.
what do we
Anyway, it's time for the big date because Tom decides to ask Miss Monday out for a date, and so they go off to this place called Enclave, which apparently is the hot ticket in Seattle. Liv shows
Isn't
up
that a
and
place
she
in Nashville too? Isn't that like a apartment or
Mhm.
something in
Apartment
Nashville?
complex. Yeah,
It said the Enclave, I was like, "Wait, what
I know that.
enclave?"
I know
You don't
that.
get gift certificates for it though.
Hmm. Hmm. Anyway, Liv shows up to there and she drops a major hint about ambiance being her love language because there's been this chitter chatter between the two of them on the company app. And she let on at one point that she thinks ambiance is her love language. So when she's finally with him, person to person, she says, "Oh, I think ambiance is like my love language." So she says something referenced in the other thing that they had chatted about, throwing him all kinds of hints. He apparently doesn't immediately get it. Come on.
No, it flies right over his tall head. Just
Yeah,
shoosh. Does
exactly.
not understand is not picking up what she's throwing down at all.
No,
No.
not at all. And so she scoots off to the bathroom to message him weirdly to cancel. I thought this was all a little like oddball. She's there to have the date and then she sort of gets cold feet or something and she texts him on the app from the bathroom to say that she's not
Well, she
coming.
should have
But
just said, "It's actually me. It's
yeah,
me.
you
Hi.
should
I'm
like,
I'm the girl. I'm Miss Monday. It's me."
yeah. But I mean, we've got
Didn't like this.
45 more minutes of this movie. So I mean, there had to be a hiccup here. Yeah.
Mm.
Still, she hops out to dinner with him, and they have a tense conversation about her being a yes woman and always following the rules. It was not a really warm and fuzzy scene for me.
No. And I guess maybe in that moment she's like, "I'm glad I didn't tell him I'm Ms. Monday. I don't know if I like this
Yes.
guy."
Anyway, so Tom the next day decides he needs to make up, so he takes Liv coffee. Well, actually, she gets matcha, not coffee, matcha. And they set
Good
up a
matcha, have you?
no,
How much matcha would a matcha match?
yeah, I've
That
tried it once. It reminded me a lot of grass.
yeah,
Yeah,
seems
just very
grassy.
earthy. Yeah, not good.
Earthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they set up an official date because they won, of course, those gift baskets. So what they're going to do now is use the Italian cooking class that they won earlier on. So they're going to go do that for an official date. Now Liv gets a pep talk from her quilting friends, and then she gets to see the sketches that Tom drew, or I think made on Photoshop. Anyway, because he's got all of the ones that he's drawn of all the people who live at the assisted living facility. It's lovely. Now we're at the cooking class in the most baller of kitchens. I wanted this kitchen in the worst way. This kitchen was great.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
A Rob Lowe lookalike leads Liv and Tom. Did you think he looked like Rob Lowe?
I didn't, but now that you mention it, yes, I totally get that.
A Rob Lowe
Rob
lookalike.
Love.
Yeah, exactly. He leads Liv and Tom through the art of Italian cooking. It should be super romantic, especially since Liv got some intel from Tom's mom about some of the stuff that he likes, and she makes this baller charcuterie thing that has all of his favorite little snacky snacks, including the world's largest martini glass that's full of olives. Like, it was just front and center, just sitting there full of olives. I laughed. Anyway, it's supposed to be super romantic, but of course, Chad from Human Resources elbows his way in. Chad. And boy, the guy that got to play Chad is every
He was
wacko HR person you've ever known.
perfect for this.
Yeah.
Perfectly cast. Yeah. So fun.
So anyway, Liv and Tom are back for a meeting to see the CEO's logo design, and it is terrible, and it is artificial intelligence. It is AI, which is super offensive to Tom, of course, because Tom's a creative and an artist, and AI is a no-no for artists. And he does not hold back, and Tom quits on the spot. Now, it turns out the CEO's plan, this is like an 11th hour mega oopsie doodle here. Turns out the CEO's plan all along is way more nefarious than we first thought. He doesn't just want to integrate Tom's company into his global empire. He wants to use AI to dominate, in his words, the world of social media. What? This was
He's well twirled his like little mustache.
I know.
So maniacal. And I love that Hallmark is kind of sometimes a little behind the curve. So they've just figured out what AI is. And we have to put the subplot centering around AI. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of AI going on this year in movies.
Yeah. We're gonna get a whole AI. We'll need a category in the Watchies this season for best AI subplot, probably. Anyway, all of
Like
it.
last year, they realized the silent disco was a thing, and there were like 3 movies that had silent discos. No, this year it's going to be AI. That's my prediction.
I love it. I think we've got a good one here. Anyway, this escalates at a frenetic pace. Like all of a sudden, this just gets mile a minute here. And Liv leaves a post-it of her own for the CEO. It simply reads, "I quit." What? So Liv and Tom both quit in the span of like 30 seconds in this movie. Now, Tom's mom, which I guess is kind of a good thing because, of course, we had gotten early on that the HR guy was like, "You guys aren't dating, are you? Because I need to know if you're dating," because it's very no-no for HR, of course. But now they're free agents, so presumably it's okay. And Tom's mom talks some sense into him because he is mad that Liv didn't stand up for him. So anyway, here we go. Big finish. He gets the message rather loudly, rather clearly from his mom, and he shows up to Enclave for their do-over date, which they had prearranged before this whole kerfuffle had happened. He follows a series of Mr. Tuesday post-it notes. Just happens to show up at the perfect moment where there's just like post-it note here, and one of the waiters has a post-it note on his back, and then there's a post-it note at the corner and on a piece of artwork. And he follows them directly to this private dining room with a killer Seattle view through these windows. And he finds Liv looking like an absolute snack here. And they have a whispery romantic conversation about their relationship in the future, including their new boutique digital consulting firm that they're going to open, before smooching as we fade to black.
It's time for gold or coal.
Okay, it's time for our gold or coal segment. If you're new here, we're each going to bring 3 gifts to the podcast. And since we're in an office environment this time, it's performance review themed. Don't get stressed out though. And no, you won't get a salary bump at the end of it. If there's more gold, it's exceptional. If there's more coal, it is unacceptable. And if it's a tie, it's just a meets expectations. Ugh. Which might as well be coal. All right, Josh, I'm coming to you first. What is your first gift that you're bringing to the office?
So I am bringing gold. I liked the leads in this. Janel Parrish she's kind of falling into one of these can do no wrong kind of categories for me. I did think it was kind of a slow start for her character in this movie, but it quickly warmed up once we kind of got who she was and what the problem was going to be here. And I liked him in this role. He sort of was this doofy creative type, and I think that played well with her kind of uptight corporate character, and I liked the two of them together at the end of the day. Was it the most believable romance for me? Probably not, but
No, not at all.
yeah, probably not, but for what it was, I bought it.
Yeah. I would like to see him in more movies. I have not seen him in anything
Yes.
before, so
I
I would definitely like to see him more. Yeah. And I liked that because she could have easily been, sometimes the type A rigidity of these female leads is off-putting, but I like that they softened her by, well, she helps at the assisted living home and she quilts and like they rounded her out a little bit to make her more lovable. So yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
My gift is gonna be Cole because I didn't like their chemistry. They are friends. That's it. There's no spark here. Sorry.
Not
I didn't buy it.
not any spark for you. Okay,
Mm-mm.
I'll see it.
Sorry. That's probably I'm sure it's a divisive comment, but I said it there.
No, you brought your truth. You lived your truth.
I'm speaking my
Yeah.
truth. Yes.
I'm gonna give some gold. I liked the B characters here. I thought
Uh,
Chad added some humor. I liked the CEO who suddenly became the villain at the end. I did think we didn't need her best friend. That really added nothing
Not at all. No.
because we were getting so much from mom, and mom sort of served that purpose of being her friend and his mom. So I don't think we needed the friend and the daughter and all of that sort of stuff. So I did overall like the B characters. I think they added something. They added, levity and a little bit of sort of that villain vibe, as I mentioned. So good stuff there.
Yeah. I will give some gold. I loved this plot point. The whole it's very like you've got mail kind of back and forth because you don't know who you're talking to and blah 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 blah. I question the ethics or legality of using the company app to flirt back and forth. I'm sure HR guy, if he'd gotten tipped off on that, would not have been too happy. But I thought it was a super cute premise and one we haven't seen done a ton on Hallmark, so I was happy to see that.
Yeah. And to your point, I liked the way that they did that too, where they were reading them. And so you would get the character reading it while you would see the other character
Mm,
reacting to it, which I thought was kind of a
yeah.
cool device. And they went back and
Mhm.
forth with that pretty well too. My last gift here is going to be some coal. This whole corporate AI logo rebrand subplot was just a little too weird for me, a little too much to try to unpack and explain in the context of a Hallmark movie. It was also at points a bit of a snooze for me. Like I didn't really care about it at the end of the day. And so
Yeah.
sometimes sometimes the plot is second to the romance. I get it, right? This is Hallmark. But I feel like sometimes when you watch these Christmas ones, there's like a consequence behind it. Like if we don't do this, then the tradition dies or the family loses something or something that
Yeah.
feels like it's
Pilot tropes that we have also complained about in the past, but yeah, there's the stakes are higher.
the stakes are higher. And this just sort of felt like, meh to me. So
Yeah. I am gonna give some coal. I the pacing felt off, and we kind of alluded to that already. Like she they banter back and forth, kind of oil and water, but then they hit it off super early in the movie. I feel like she got tipped off from the mom of who Mr. Tuesday was super early in the movie. And then it drags because she's like hinting to him that she knows, but she's not telling him because he's not getting it. But then also, she didn't really do that much. I mean, she's sitting there talking to him at the desk and didn't say anything. And I didn't like that. I feel like that part went on too long. And then the reveal when he found out who she was, he was just like, "Oh, why didn't you tell me sooner?" Like, he was almost too unfazed by it. I would have some feelings about it, and I would have to process, and then I'd come around to it, but I thought that it just felt weird to me. The pacing felt weird. I don't know.
I
Is that
agree.
weird
Yeah,
to
no,
say?
I agree 100% with that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, Jennifer, the final score on this was 3-3. Middle of the road, we're going to say that this one met expectations, which is kind of that just meh. Now, let's
Still
do
a
this.
job, but,
Yeah. Because in the corporate world, when you just meet expectations, they will often put you on a performance improvement plan. So if we had to come up with a PEP, if you will, a PEP, a PIP, a performance improvement plan. If we had to come up with a PIP for this movie, what would you say could help this sort of move up to higher echelons for you?
Well, I think what I've said, of course, and what you said too, like, the stakes weren't very high, and we didn't care about the subplot of the logo business because we didn't really understand even what their businesses were to begin with. I thought it was just me that I missed something, but if you didn't catch it either, then it wasn't clear enough for us to really care about this business. And again, the pacing, it was odd pacing to me. What would you say? What would be their improvement plan?
I think what you do with this is you reveal that they're Monday and Tuesday earlier in the movie, and then they unite quicker for the business salvage situation as a united team. And then they come to that realization that the CEO just wants to do the CEO thing and change it to AI and all that other stuff. And they leave to start their own company. So I think it smooths it out, the back half, if we find out a little sooner who they actually are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
You
Well, there you have it.
CEO of this podcast, Josh. I get it to you. You can do all of the performance reviews of all of our employees in our big, big company.
Well, exactly. And as we continue to grow the podcast, maybe we will have paid staff someday.
Or pay ourselves a shilling of some sort.
Exactly.
Big dreams, big, big dreams.
Big dream. And that, dear friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
That's right. If you like this episode, bop that like button or tell us in the comments either on YouTube or on our socials. What would you rate this movie? Did you like it? Is it something you would watch again? What do you think? Let us know. And special thanks as always to Nick Schwartz for our theme song and of course to you for listening.
Now, just so you know, Jennifer, Hallmark is going, and I'm sure you've seen it, Hallmark is going all in on the Royals for March.
Ugh,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah.
Pain.
And if you've been with us for any period of time,
Mark execs. Yeah.
yeah. If you've been with us any period of time, you know that the royal movies are not necessarily our faves. But for the sake of the podcast, we might have to dredge forward and figure it all out. And Jennifer's look on her face right now is telling you everything that you need to know
Grounds on.
exactly about what we're thinking about royal movies in March, but we might give it a go. Either way, whatever we wind up coming up with, you guys know, we're going to have much to discuss. And until then,
May your days be merry and bright. We'll see you next time.